Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. Make sure you get ready for the up and coming film that we we get close to finishing. Black's Journey, Everyday People. It's going to be great, and thanks to everybody that participated in making this movie a success, and we'll keep you all informed as we move forward. Jim Crow ballot, right? Purity, phrase yanked from Texas vote suppression bill at last minute, right? Right. Now, before I go any further, I want you all to understand that it's the same old game. It's not even about voting. The bottom line is the colonizer never wants black people to feel like they're American, right? They say, well, the right to vote is American. It's an American right, right? Yeah, it is, but not for you, black man, black woman. We always got to find ways to suppress you, right? Even if we can't suppress you, it's just the fact that we threw the ideal out there. That's what it's about. Right. They never want you to feel comfortable with being an American because they want America, the reflection of America, to look like the colonizer and his children, right? His families, right? Check this out. Now purity, right? It's a segregationist term from the Jim Crow era, referring to the purity of ballots, which yanked at the last minute before the Texas House passed a measure restricting voting, right? 18 amendments, 13 of them from Democrats were added to the Republican election bill before it was passed 78-64 Friday. But an initial fight was over the bill's statement of purpose. It initially said the measure was designed to preserve the purity of the ballot box, right? Meaning that term was purity of the ballot box meant for white folks. Anybody else that voted, it put a stain on American politics. That's why you had people fighting to suppress the black vote because they wanted America to be by the colonizer and for the colonizer and nobody else, right? I'm going to continue because it gets deeper. So they were asked, we'll go back. It initially said that the measure was designed to preserve the purity of the ballot box, a phrase drafted specifically to disenfranchise black voters following the Civil War. Democratic Representative Raphael Anchia told bill sponsor Rep. Briscoe Kane, "Are you aware of the history of that?" he asked in comments on the floor. "No, I'm sorry to hear that. Those are troubling things," Kane said. Kane later noted that he'd be willing to agree to an amendment to change purity to integrity or something. Wow. The measure would increase regulations on voting by mail, create several new election-related crimes, right? Right. They add more crimes in dealing with voting. Wow. And boost protections for partisan poll watchers, right? Thinking they're going to get attacked, right? It could make it a felony for someone to give a person a vote by mail application unless they requested one, right? Now, there you go. There you go. See, the voting game is a game. Right? It now can be a felony, right? In Texas, to give a person a vote by mail application. Why? The voting game. I'm going to show you why. You got white people up on the hill, right? But on the Capitol, right? You got black people who study politics or in a political game in some way, shape, form, or fashion, right? And they all gather together, right? So the colonist says, yeah, we're going to take the House back, we're going to take the Senate back, so on and so forth, right? The black politician said, well, no, because we're going to rally our people to vote, and we're going to vote against you, right? The colonizer says, well, no, we're going to pass some laws, because if you were not there handing out applications for your people to vote, a lot of them wouldn't even know that there was applications, and a lot of them wouldn't even take the time to find out where to get the application from in order for them to vote. Right. So they said, well, let's see. We're gonna put a new law in, right? And if any of you all give your people an application to vote by mail, and we find out that they didn't request it, you'll be locked up for a felony, right? Now let's see how many of your people will request an application to vote if you don't give it to them. Now what the colonizer knows is, right, that they're going to always put in play sentiments, narratives, even by action, showing that the voting and political process is not for you minority or black and brown, because we don't deem you, really see you as valuable citizens in the United States. So with that in back of your mind, right, and you don't have someone that looks like you who comes into the communities and say, hey, look, here go an application for you to vote by mail. COVID was going on, certain things you can't get around, might have certain ailments or whatnot. Take this application so you can send your vote in by mail, and we'll make sure it goes through and your vote will be counted. And they have people standing at churches and certain key points, spots to hand out these applications, right? They say, we'll cut that out. And let's see how many of your people go out and seek the application on their own, right? And if I find out you helped them in any way, we're going to lock you up for a felony. Put a felony on your record. That's the game. Why, though? Why? Because if you all remember, and this been going on for since black people were allowed to vote. White people have always questioned the intelligence of black people, and I always felt like we don't know how to vote our self-interest. That blacks and minorities are illiterate voters, right? Who are steered to vote in the way that educated blacks want them to vote, in that educated blacks' own best interest. So the colonizer is saying that we're going to put an end to it, right? Now, the jacked up part about that is when they discredit the intelligence of a race. Like, we're not capable of knowing how to vote what's in our best interest. So we have decisions that needs to be made, right? Now, I would suppose that we all unite, start owning blocks in your community, start doing trade, build up your economics, and then take a portion of those funds and back the politician that you put out front to make sure your agenda and your needs are being met. Right. We select somebody. And we got the businesses and the money to do it. And then the black business owners, right, need to come together, pool their resources, right, and create an agenda. But an agenda where there's no fear. That's another thing. That's why a lot of black people were forced to be under Christianity, because they instilled fear in Christianity and they tied it to the black man and woman, because they made it seem like that if you stood up for your rights and fought back, you were afraid of a backlash. When God created you, colonizer didn't. They knew the game. It's all the game. Right? But how can I put this? Some of us fell for the game because the way to play the game was passed down by ancestors who was forced to play a certain way and couldn't articulate their true intentions or their true feelings, because they were afraid of the repercussions. So they put it in a way hoping that the next generation would catch on, saying, hey, I really don't feel this way. I hate I got to do this, but this is a survival technique in order for us to survive. So I'm going along with it. But can you look at my facial expression and see something in this picture? You come from me, you my blood. You ought to see the way I'm doing certain things. You should pick up and say he done it under duress. Right? But since they disconnected us from the family, we can't go in, and because we don't know. That's why your grandparents would tell you, you sit just like your pawpaw. Right? Whenever you had something heavy on your mind. When your pawpaw was thinking, he sat like that. Right? Telling you something the best way they could. Right? Meaning that when you saw this picture of your pawpaw doing like this, he was under duress, because you're doing the same thing now when you're under duress. Then you say, oh, okay, that's what it was. He didn't want that. You can come out and say, no, I don't think he agreed to that. I think y'all forced my people to take those terms, right? Because it's a new day, you can go back and challenge all of it, right? Okay. So it's a game, right? We are victims of a game that celebrates us feeling like we're victims. Because they feel as though if you always feel like you a victim, you don't have the time to focus on the solution. You only can focus on victimhood and what's happening to me. So they put the victim narrative out there and then hide their hands and say, and then come and try to offer you a way out of the situation. But really the way that they're offering you is a way to have you sinking deeper and deeper into the situation. It's a game. That's what I'm saying. Stop playing the game. Right? Can they fool us today? Not nowadays. Right? Because you are of the righteous. So you shouldn't be able to be fooled today with the same old tricks. Damn. You wake up. Right? Because the burden is on you, the individual. Right? Because knowledge has come. Right? You say, well, how can you say knowledge has come? You can go on YouTube. You can look up. I want you all to do this. You can close your eyes, right? Go on YouTube, right? Just type in for Farrakhan's speech that Farrakhan gave, Mr. Farrakhan gave, right? And just close your eyes and pick one. And tell me if you're not receiving knowledge. Right. But now, they're so cold that they got it in the back of your subconscious mind to even have you afraid to listen to the minister on YouTube in your own house on a phone that you're paying for on an internet service that you're paying for. How can I put this in street terms? Black folks, stop being pimped. You're getting pimped. You're getting bitch slapped all over America, all over the earth. Wake up. You know, it's the game. You know? Now, another thing we can do, though. Okay. So say you choose to play the game, right? Okay. So you want to play the game and go along with the game. You got that choice. But what you asking for out of it? What benefit are you asking out of or reward for playing the game? Right? They give you nothing. Right? But yet at the same time, it's like we live to be strung along to get nothing, and they give you nothing. But tie that carrot, right, at the end of a rope, and big juicy carrot too, right? And they say, you can have a bite of this carrot, right? This carrot is for everybody. It's for me. It's for you. It's for all of God's children, right? And time you bend over to get it, they moving forward, right? Because where you were standing at, underneath your feet was gold. You can build right there. Perfect. They knew that. But they figured, well, how can I get him off his square? How can I get him out of that position that he's standing in? You know what? I got to put something out there to tempt him, right? To make him think that what I have is more valuable than what he has, right? I got to say white means purity and black means stained. I got to say white is heavenly and black is doomed, right? So I got to make sure everything that's tied to white, and if it's attached to anything that's white, is valuable, right? I got to create the game. I got to create the chess, the board pieces, and everything. So you sitting in the perfect position, perfect spot. They drop something on you. You know, oh man, hey, come look and see what you standing on, what you got ain't nothing compared to what this is, right? Matter of fact, if you join on to what we got, it'll double what you have. You get curious and you go over there to see and he move it back a little further. You go a little further after it. He moves it back a little further. You go a little further after it. And before you know it, you so far away from your foundation. When you look back, he already sent his people in and swooped it up. Now you stuck in the middle passage, right? You can't go back to your foundation because it's just you and you got 10 ruffians around it ready to kill you, right? Then you can't go forward to what he has because now he's starting to tell you, well, you know what? This is mine. You have to go create your own. You right in the middle, right? So you looking around for some aid, hoping you see some more black people, somebody look like you, minority something, so you can say, hey, man, look here. Me and you, we need to unite because they just tricked me off my land, right? But they ain't tricked the other person yet. So they like, well, I don't want to get involved, right? I'm cool where I'm at. I don't know what you're going through, right? So now you stuck out. until years later, that same person you talked to got played. They tricked him off his foundation. He comes looking for you and say, hey, man, you right. We need to unite and build something because they just got me too. Right? You know, later on down the road, but still, okay. Now, both of y'all sitting there looking at each other like, okay, well, what we can do? Well, we need more people. We need to unite more people, you know, until it comes to a point to where he done played the game on so many people to everybody off their foundation. Right. Now the next step is well, how do you unite? He knows this now because he got some of his spies. He always, just like in Judas and the Black Messiah, right? He gonna always have a black spy around you, right? Finding out your next move, right? We're gonna get into that further into this show, right? And so he'll always send a spy in there, right? And that spy job is to go back and let him know the pulse, the movement, and the energy of the people that's gathering, right? That's the game. He goes in there and he got to hold a trusted position so he can, you know, so he can be privy to certain information. So the spy's sitting up in there, right? Now, the spy, and mind you, it's been spies that was there to harm black people, just like it was spies of Apaches and Native Americans who helped put their own people on reservation and got played in the end. Same thing with the black spy. They all get played in the end, right? But still, his motivation, usually the spy motivation, some material gain or something he can show that he has achieved or made it higher than the next black person, right? By spying, right? That's the spy game, right? So they sitting there spy amongst the people. And the people are talking about, you know, what's going on, what they're getting ready to do, right? Which is, in the colonizer mind, he's saying, well, you know, we got everything locked down to counter any type of black rise, right? Only thing we need you to do is let us know, and they talking about the spy. Only thing the spy has to do is let them know the conversation, what's going on, just in case someone comes up with an idea that they haven't heard of and prepared for. Right? So, and to find out what makes them tick, or what's the very foundation that keeps the people motivated, right? So the spy sits in there, right? And they find out, hey, at the end of each rally, music played, right? Songs that are written from the heart are being sung, and everybody's dancing, feeling the energy, and that's a positive wave, and that's what's giving them the strength and energy to keep moving forward, and they making progress, right? Right. That's how the game go. So first it was, I love my woman, I love my family, and the woman loves the man, right? So the colonizer tell the spy, look at me, here go some money, right? Get that singer where it says woman, and pay him to say bitch, right? And where it says man, pay him to replace that with nigga, right? At the next one, just throw it in there, right? Well, you pay him, and it became, I love my bitch, love my family, love my nigga. And first the people like, what the hell? And but the colonizer so smart, he's saying, take a few more extra cases of whiskey. You know, start before you play it. Just get the drinking going on, right? Because we want to divert the attention to the drugs and the alcohol versus the message that's in the music, right? Cold with the game, right? So they working together to spy and, right? Changing the music, it's changing the frequency, it's changing the vibrational pitch. Everything is starting to sink down, right? But God is God. So one day, stranger walks by. He hearing the lyrics and seeing the people, and he stops the whole thing, and he says, "Well, where'd y'all get that from? That don't sound like nothing we would create, right? What's going on?" So he goes to the singer, right? Jack him up, because he know you singing it. You singing the song. Hey, man, look here, tell me, right? Because this is how you got to do it. Tell me why you singing these lyrics. And if you don't tell me, I'm finna gut you, right? He tell him, well, so-and-so paid me so-and-so to say these words. Okay, but don't tell him don't you tell him that I came to you asking about these words, right? So he wise, he sit back, and he sneaks and he follows the spy, right? Right back to the colonizer. He don't say nothing, because they don't see him. He looking at both of them. He like, okay, I see what's going on. So on the road back to the people, the stranger intercepts, catch the spy, slit his throat, right? For being a traitor, right? And the stranger comes and says, you know what? I think it's okay to put back woman and take that bitch out, and put back man and take that nigga out, and continue on with the movement. And the reason why I'm saying it is because sometimes when you enthralled in something, right, you so in it that you don't see beyond it. So sometimes somebody from the outside has to come in and say, hey, it don't go like that, right? You destroying yourselves, right? This is how it was supposed to go. This is how it was set up, and this is what was designed for you, right? And if you stay on this path, you'll always rise. Here you go. Now, the sad part about it is a percentage will accept it, right? But some got caught up in that way to where they can't get out of it, right? So it takes time, and it takes building. It takes patience, right? But everything comes to an end in time. Verbal Pick Radio, we're out.